Hello and welcome to another episode of Gate 7 International, your number one English source for all things Olympiacos. We've got a real treat for you today, ladies and gentlemen. It's another interview. It's been a while. The last one we did was with Jose Jolevas. Actually, the individual that we're interviewing today was teammates with Jose as well. He signed for Olympiacos in 2014 from Braunschweig and went on to spend 6 seasons with Olympiacos. Short loan spell at Hull City in between. And during his time at Olympiacos, he won 4 league titles, scored 11 goals and served up 16 assists. And cherry on top, was also club captain. And I think I speak for the majority of Olympiacos fans, one of the best fullbacks that we've ever seen in the modern era at Olympiacos. So without further ado, I want to welcome Omar El Abdellaoui to the show. Great honor for us to have you, Omar. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm very good. Thanks.
I was commenting before we went live. It's a fantastic picture that you have in the background. What game is that from? Is that Marco Silva era? From that?
Yes, it is. That's actually the home game against PAOK when I scored a goal.
That was 1-0 that game, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it's a painting and a memory I really cherish and like. So yeah, it's a nice picture.
Fantastic. I mean, tell us a bit about like what you're doing these days for those that aren't, that maybe lost touch with you.
Well, right now I'm back in Norway after 15, 16 years abroad. I finally decided to come back to Norway and I'm playing for Bodø/Glimt. So yeah, last year was my first season there and we won the title there in Norway, which was nice. So this is my second season here. And yeah, so yeah, I'm back in Norway and everything is good. Everything's fine.
Before we kind of get into Olympiacos and other things, we always ask people that come onto the show just to tell us a little bit about growing up, your connection to football. Was it something from a family member? Like, did someone in your family play football? Did you go to one of those schools in Norway, the sports schools? Like, how and when did you decide to become professional?
Well, football has always been something that's been interesting me since I was a little kid. So I've always loved the ball and always loved playing football. My father was really interested. He didn't play any high level, but he obviously loved football and he was playing back in Morocco, where he grew up. I had an older brother that also was really interested in football. And then also I had my 2 cousins that actually did really well. That one of them I played with in the national team, Mohamed Abdellaoui. I went on to play for Hanover and Stuttgart, and yeah, did really well. Striker, and his brother also. So yeah, it's been a family with a lot of interest to football. So yeah, football's always been a part of me, and luckily for me, it's been part of my whole life, really.
As a player, I think it's fair to say a lot of people characterize you as somebody like very physical, strong, fast. So the question is, did you always want to play wing back? Did you know from early on, or was that an evolution?
No, that was definitely an evolution because I was a totally different player when I was younger. I was a central midfield player. Actually, I got scouted as a central midfield player when I went to Manchester City when I was 15 years old. That was a game with the under 15s. We played against Denmark. Had a really good game, I remember, as a central midfield. So I was a very different type of player when I was younger. I was kind of small and not really so physical growing up. So that was something that kind of changed, especially when I went to England and started to build a bit of strength and muscles and that. Yeah.
Okay, you actually answered my next question because I wanted to ask you how you ended up at City, but you've answered that for me already.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I mean, let's go to Olympiacos. Like, how did that happen, and how much of a culture shock was it for you when you arrived in Greece? You're coming from, I think it was a German second division at the time. What were your first impressions when you landed, like the first few days in Athens?
Well, yeah, it was actually after one season in the Bundesliga with Eintracht Braunschweig. We had so I came from the Bundesliga, and well, it was obviously different because I had just played in England, Holland, and Germany, and obviously Norway. So it was a lot of things were different. But I mean, for me, having roots from Morocco, I didn't really find it difficult in terms of, because the people really open and warm, and I knew it's similar to Moroccans really in that way, and so I didn't really find it difficult in answers, but I understood obviously it's a massive club, so I knew the pressure that would come, and obviously the how difficult it would be to actually to mark yourself in such a club. So it was more that to start with, but besides that, I think everything went kind of smoothly for me, really.
Okay, that's interesting. So I suppose you've got like a real kind of mix between like where you were raised in Norway, but then family, like the Moroccan roots that you said that helped you kind of assimilate and become part of the culture there. How would you describe Olympiacos to your Norwegian friends? Like, how do you describe it to them?
Do you mean the club, or do you mean
Well, you
the
can Olympiacos, Greek football, like the whole. Let's just call it like to some people on the outside, it looks like complete madness. You can do like
Well, passion is always a word that comes to mind, because it means so much for so many. It's like it's so much more than just football. It's like so many people have so strong connections to the team, to the club, to it's a way of life for so many, and that's what most people in Norway don't understand, because it's the culture is so different. Like they go to game and it's so calm and it's so nice, and it's just like win, lose, draw. It's like things are not really at the same intensity as it is in Olympiacos in Greece. So I think that's the biggest difference. How much it actually means. Like a good result can determine how a whole week can be for a true fan. And then the opposite can also be. It decides, and it affects so much. So that's how I want to try to explain it to people. I think that's the first thing I kind of start saying.
is that what you said to Ola Solbakken before he signed last summer?
Yeah, because I know it's not always easy for Scandinavians or Norwegians, to come, because it's that's also one of the things I've said many times before. That's one of the things I really love with the club so much, is because it's such a high demand, to everyone, like either player, coach, staff, whoever, like it's expected so much of you. So like you have to be at your best. You have to always be on in order to actually succeed and to do well. And that I've said to everyone that's asked me to. It's been many players over the years that's been like asking me how the club is, and obviously I tell them like it's probably the best place to be, but it's the best, like it's a place where you have to work hard also, because if not, it's not going to work. Like the demands are high, the pressure is high, and it's a lot of like it means so much for so many. So like you cannot go there and think it's going to be like a walk in the park, or you can think the title is going to come just like that. So yeah.
Especially the last couple of years. I mean, now it's the second year in a row that we don't win the league, and as you know, like those situations can be difficult in the club.
Mm,
I think it's
mm,
been, the run in the European competition this year has been. It's a dream, right? It's a dream for every Olympiacos fan to get to a European Cup final, and I think that's a saving grace this season again.
yeah, definitely. Like obviously, that's I think not save the season, but I mean, like you have something to really look forward to, and hopefully the club will write a massive history, and especially I think it's written in the books, especially it being in Athens this year and everything, so it just has to have to go our way. But yeah, like you say, any year you don't win the league, and it's always going to be a disappointment. It's obvious, but yeah, it's been an amazing and unbelievable run in Europe. So hopefully the final 29th is gonna go our way.
Are you going to be there next week?
Yes, I'm planning to go. Yeah, I'm planning
There
to
it
go.
is.
I'm
There
planning
it
to
is.
go. Yes.
Fantastic. Omar
Yeah.
El Abdelawi is going to be in Athens next week. And I hear that the club's been reaching out to quite a few former players, like to come and watch the game. Very happy to hear that you're going to be out there as well. Now, when you joined, it was 2014. Senor Mitchell was in charge. if I remember correctly, that summer you guys you played against Liverpool at Anfield in a friendly in the summer, and you also did a tour in the United States. That was
Yes.
the first season. You played against Manchester City, beat them on penalties. I have to ask you, were you surprised to see so many Olympiacos fans out in the US when you did the tour?
Yes, because that was well, we played Liverpool also in the States, not at
Okay.
Anfield. It was like at the tournament in the States. But yeah, I was that was the first time I was like on tour with Olympiacos. Was first year, so obviously I knew it was a massive club, but one thing is to know, another thing is to actually experience it and to feel the fans. So yeah, I was definitely surprised, and you kind of understood very fast how how big the club is. Because, like you say, as soon as we got there, like the trainings, people would come to see, people would come to ask for pictures, for autographs, and everything. And so it was like something I hadn't experienced in my career at the time at all. So it was something totally new and something very motivating, to say at least.
Yeah, I mean, as a podcast that has co-hosts from the United States and North America, I know that those guys were definitely out there. That was 10 years ago. We'd definitely like to see something like that happen again. God willing, maybe the club look to organize something like that again. Obviously, shout out to all our fans in Australia as well. Big Greek Olympiacos community in Australia and all around the world, different places. But I mean, you played under different coaches. You already explained that Olympiacos is a place where players come and go, coaches come and go. You played under Mitchell, you played under Vitor Pereira, you played under Marco Silva, Paulo Bento, I think as well. What was different about Marco Silva? I want to focus on him a little bit because I mean, obviously, we see how well he's been doing in the Premier League, different clubs, Everton, Fulham now. Was there something different about him?
Yes, Marco. Like he was really good in many ways, but I mean, like tactically and his intensity, his demands, the whole package around him really was like was really good. I mean, I remember he would physically like take players and like show them where he wants them tactically, where to be on the pitch, and he was very clear and very like he understood really what he expected from each and everyone. And at the same time, I felt he was really good as with the players also as a person to understand the different players and how to get the best out of each and single one. So yeah, I really enjoyed the time under Marco Silva, and yeah, his football knowledge is it's just so big, and yeah, he sees the game in a very special way. So yeah, it was a great time with Marco Silva.
Was that the coach that you clicked with the most out of all the ones that you worked with, you would say?
To be honest, I've had such a good relationship with almost every coach. I mean, like with Mitchell, I was really good. I mean, we're really close. I still have contact with him. Same with Vitor Pereira. We were like, I mean, we clicked really well, even though it wasn't long. Marco Silva, as you say, was really good. The only one I would say of those you mentioned was probably Paulo Bento, that I didn't have as good, probably because I was injured beginning when he signed and that first half of the season before I went on loan that year. But I mean, like in terms of all the coaches you just mentioned now, I had a really good relationship and like yeah. Big respect, mutual respect. So yeah. So yeah, it's been really good in that way for me.
It was Diogo Figueiras that came in under Bento, if I remember well.
Yes,
You were injured.
Yes, exactly.
You were also there for the changing of the guard after Marco Silva left. I mean, to me, it's still a mystery, or maybe not. I mean, Marco Silva kind of one day he just up and left. We won the league. We were playing good football. Okay, we got knocked out by Anderlecht. I think it was in the Europa League. But the fans were happy. It seemed everyone was happy. And then one day Marco Silva goes, and then Victor Sanchez comes in, and it kind of goes wrong that summer. Can you share any insights as to what might have happened that summer with Marco and why it went wrong with Victor Sanchez?
Uh, to take Marco first, I think it came as a surprise for most of us, really, because like you said, the season we had was really impressive. I think we won the league very early, like with many games left, and we like played really impressive and offensive football and really dominated everyone. And like we kind of knew before the game started we were going to win. Like we were so like confident and so dominant. So yeah, it was like a shock to most. But I mean, like as for the reasons we as players didn't know, but probably there was something behind. I don't know if Marco wanted to leave or if the club and him didn't agree on certain things that I can't say. But in terms of football wise, we did really well with him, and I think going to the next season, I think we could even be even better because we knew each other even more. So yeah, it's always difficult to say afterwards. But it was definitely a very good year and a very impressive year. Going to Victor Sanchez, obviously I was injured when he started, but in his case, I think it was because he didn't qualify for the Champions League. He had the qualification for the Champions League, those 2 games. I remember I was I just had my surgery. Then I was in Qatar at the moment when he took over. So yeah, and like I said earlier, it's a big pressure. I think maybe if the clear objective from the club towards him was we have to get into the Champions League because it means so much, and if that wasn't achieved, then they wanted to look other places, which I understand if that was the agreement to start with. Because like I said, the pressure is high for everyone, not just players, but for coaches, for players, for everyone. Like in terms of reaching the objective that are set by the club.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to take you around the whole coaching carousel because that's a long thing, and I know you've talked about it in the Greek media recently. Obviously, we said that there were a couple of seasons in between your time there that we didn't win the league under Besnik Hassi, and then there was what I would call the Pedro Martins revolution at Olympiacos that started in 2018. I mean, he essentially joined the club in April. He'd made the agreement. He did the press conference.
Yeah.
What was his approach like coming in? Did he reach out to a lot of you guys before the end of the season? I can't recall if you were club captain already by that point. What was his approach like coming in that summer, starting from very early qualification phase? It was special. Like how was it for you at the beginning?
I think it seemed like he had a very good picture of all the players. I think he understood very early on, like I think, like you said, because he had agreed with the club a bit earlier, end of that last season before he signed. So it seemed like he had all the information he needed to know which players he wanted to go forward with and what needed to be changed. And I think he really wanted to build a team early on. Like he understood that in order to achieve bigger things and great results, we had to be like a really good group together in terms of the chemistry. The changing room had to be right in order to go on to the field to actually achieve what we wanted to achieve. And so I felt he was really good at bringing the right players to the changing room. If you're going to look, like you mentioned Besnik Hassi, like under him we signed many players, but it was not everyone was so good together, if that makes sense. It was like we were a bit all over the place. It was like a lot of groups, a lot of individuals, to say, like a lot of me, which is obviously you need also in football. But I mean, if you're going to achieve things together, you need us, you need the team. And you need people that actually want to work and want to achieve things, not thinking that coming to Olympiacos that things come by themselves, which was a little bit the case with certain signings at that time, the season before. So yeah, I remember the approach of Pedro Martins was really to build a team, to create a good group together.
Like Olympiacos is a team that likes to make big name signings, but you look at that team the first year of Pedro, there wasn't, I mean, there wasn't like a huge like foreign star. I mean, Lazaros Christodouloulos came in that summer, big Greek player, has won the league with, you know, the big four. I think he's the only player to do it. We had
Yeah.
Guerrero playing up front,
Mhm.
Madi Camara coming from the second division, Pap
Mhm.
Cisse,
Mhm.
you know, relatively like unknown quantities, but it was just like the team, as you said, that clicked really well. And I want to, man, what was it like playing in that Bauk game at home that season? You know the game I'm talking about, the one we lost 1-0 with Vukovic own goal.
Oh yeah,
For
yeah,
for me, that's some of the best football I've ever seen the team play. Yeah, like,
yes.
tell me about that game. Like, you remember that?
Yes, yes, I remember. Yeah, like you say, like we played so good, and we were like so dominant and everything. And it was that, unfortunately for Vukovic, that own goal that obviously cost us the game. Which is, but that's football, you know. That's football. Sometimes, like you can, you can be clearly the best team, and you have chances, and you have, everything says everything should be that you win that game, but it doesn't happen. But I think it gave us strength. It gave us a lot. If you look what happens down the line, you can take things from everything, and we definitely did from that game. And I think Pedro Martins also did, in terms of, every game gives you answers, and that game also gave a lot of answers. But yeah, that's just one of those games. It's difficult to explain, and yeah, it's been many examples of those type of games in football, and yeah, that's why everyone love the game really.
For sure, for sure. No,
Mm.
you're absolutely right. That's football. It's just one that, like, it's however many years later, and I still think back to that game and I think, my God, we played so bloody well. And
Yeah,
we obviously didn't win the league that season, but there were a lot of calls for Pedro Martin's head after we got knocked out of the cup by Lamia. I think Fortunis missed the penalty, and there were people really calling for him to get sacked, and I thought it was unbelievable. From my own cultural point of view, being a little bit of a mix of British and Greek, I thought this is ridiculous. Like, you can clearly see the team's playing good football. Like, we need to build on this and go into next season. And of course, like, in the end, calm heads, Pedro stayed on. How important next season was it when we signed Valbuena and El Arabi? Like, how much did it elevate the team? Like, bringing those two in.
like you said, we had a lot of unknown players that first season with Pedro Martins. That came from lower divisions, and wasn't so known, but was good players, talented players. I think it was important that we also got some experienced players that actually had won a lot, that knows what it takes, and that was also going to be very good for the changing room. And I mean, looking at what both of those you mentioned, Valbuena and El Arabi, what they did, looking today at everything, you understand how important those two signings were, really. I mean, one thing is everything they did on the pitch, which speaks for itself. I mean, Valbuena with his assist, with his influence in the game, and Youssef with all his goals. It's I think Youssef has broken so many records, I think, and he's been such a important player for the club, and same for Valbuena, really. But looking away from that, how they were also in the changing room was also, like, people sometimes underestimate the fact, to actually have a healthy environment, to have good people in the changing room, to have actually people that pushes the team in the right direction is underestimated sometimes. Like, and people sometimes think, yeah, okay, well, but like it's so much more important than what actually people sometimes understands. And both of those were that type of players that were like really good with everyone, and was pushing everyone and helping everyone regardless of playing time or whatever. Even though they both become really important to play, but they were like that in the beginning, until the end. So yeah, two big names that the club and the fans will remember for a long time, I think.
There was another player in that team we signed that summer, and before we started this interview, I asked you if you could try and remember like one funny story to tell me. And the player I'm going to say, Semedo, yeah.
Oh, Semedo, my guy Semedo. Yeah,
What?
great guy.
Tell me about this guy. Tell me
No,
about
he's
Semedo.
an amazing guy, really. He's an amazing guy. Sometimes he can be misunderstood by certain people, but he's a really good guy. He has a pure heart, really. Of course, there's a lot of things happening around him because he's so lively. He has so much energy, so much vibe about him. But I mean, like, he was very important for the group. He was very important for the changing room. Like you don't have any, like, there's always fun around him, and as everyone knows, you play your best football when when you're happy, when you're vibing, when you're enjoying yourself. And then he was also a major guy in that changing room in terms of making a good atmosphere. It's always like yeah, always joking around, always like making things lively. And there's many things, but one thing, like everyone knows, he was a great football player. Obviously, it was really good for us. It was so important back in the middle of defense. But yeah, he created a lot of life, and it's many funny stories with him, and was good times, good times.
I suppose like being a fullback as well, like it just gives you so much confidence knowing that he's covering behind you, and it allows you like a bit more freedom to bum up and do what you like to do best, like get forward.
Definitely.
Right.
I mean, like, he was really comfortable being alone. So obviously, for me, knowing that I've played with many different type of centre backs, and you have those that really want to keep the full back as close to them as possible to have the support. But in Semedo's case, he was like he was really okay with full back going up, and that suited me really well, and that suited the team really well. Both me and Tsimikas at the time was really active on our fullbacks. So that was good. That was good.
I think that you and Tsimikas, you have a strong case for being one of the best, if not the best, fullback partnership that we've seen at the club. I think the way that you realize those things is after you're gone. It took almost 4 years, like 4 seasons, to quote unquote replace you, or like find the player that came close to giving what you gave. Like you can never trade like for likes, but you know how this team plays, like what the style is, what the expectations are. They like to get the fullbacks forwards. Okay, Rodinet's come in since last January. That's closer to like what we expect from a fullback. But I just wanted to say that to you. It's testament. Like every season we look for a fullback after you left, and it's like not good enough. Finally, we found someone that's pretty good. But I just wanted to say that as a testament.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That also that means a lot. Obviously, I mean, like Olympiacos, it's so many players, so many fullbacks that pass out of the club that comes and is given the chance, and there's bigger names, and you bring the club bring money. So of course it means a lot to me, and then also I appreciate that people appreciate what I did for the club, and obviously like everyone know, the club means so much to me, and it's like it's a place that's home for me. So yeah, thank you for that. That means a lot. It does.
No, you're welcome, man. It comes from the heart, like speaking for again probably the majority of fans. Okay, we can't have an interview with you and not talk about the Arsenal game. For my own, I'll tell you my own story. I actually I couldn't make the 2-1 game because it was like days before COVID hit like properly, and the borders were shut off. My second child was born, so I couldn't leave the home. But I was there the 3-2 with Marco. I was there at that game. To date, one of the craziest games I've been to. I was on crutches. I got injured playing football, and I came from Belgium. I took the train. I went with my dad. I was on crutches. And Finn Bogason scores the third goal, and I think I threw my crutch into the front row. Then somebody gave it back to me at the end of the game. But that was a crazy game. Like Tell me about the return game at the Emirates, the 2-1. Like, how did you guys prepare for that? How confident were you before that historic game? You lost the first game 1-0. You're going in, backs to the wall. What does the manager say to you guys? Like, how does he prepare you? How do you guys prepare for that game?
No, I mean, like, we didn't do a lot different because, I mean, we believed in ourselves. We believed in the qualities that were in the team, which we had got confirmed during the season because we knew we were a good team. But of course, going 0-1, I mean 1-0 down to the Emirates, it's going to be tough. You have to do something special in order to actually to go through. And yeah, but like, yeah, the way the game went on, the way the timing of the goals and everything, it made everything really special for for everyone. Like, I mean, the images of that last action where El Arabi scores the winning goal is just like, you just have yeah, exactly, our guy, so, it's there, and it's magical. It's something that you keep so dear to you because it's like it's difficult to recreate, and yeah, it's a very beautiful moment going back thinking about it, and it's something that will stay with all of us, I think, for forever, really, thinking back.
One of our co-hosts, Kostas Lianos, he asked me to read something to you, and there's a question at the end of it.
Okay.
He says, Youssef El Arabi's winner against Arsenal comes down largely to you. You almost lost the ball after a heavy touch, but still managed to return it to Masouras under immense pressure before his assist. Was that the biggest pass of your career?
Well, if you want to look at it that way, you can say, because it was so important not losing that ball, even though it was a heavy touch, like you said. So being able to get that ball to Masouras, and obviously him making an amazing cross was important leading up to the goal. So yeah, looking at it like that, you can say no, it was it was amazing, really. It was amazing.
Super. It's great to get your insights and your feelings, how you lived through that experience, one of the most historic games in the club's history. Now, I want to play a little game with you. I'm going to mention 5 football personalities that you've cooperated with, and I want you to tell me the first things that come to your mind. Okay? So the first one is a current player of Olympiacos, Portuguese, short, by the name Podence. What comes to mind when you think of him?
What comes to mind? Podence, there's many things, but I think Tricks,
the trickster.
Yeah.
Next one is Fatih Terim.
Fatih Terim.
Yep.
Leader.
Yeah. Erling Haaland.
Goals.
Kostas Fortounis.
The first thing that came to my mind was assists, but it's like I would say smooth technique.
It's hard to take the ball off him, isn't it?
Yeah, he's he's so gifted in terms of just protecting the ball and always moving it away from the defenders. So yeah, I'd rather give him smooth technique.
Like the season that Pedro comes in, actually, he was. I think that was one of his best seasons at the club, maybe except for this one, the current one, because he's evolved. Like, he's had to evolve. He's barely played as a number 10 this season. He's played a lot on the wings, and there's been a lot of criticism about his play off the ball. Like, some people call him lazy, but this season, like particularly with the manager that's there now, with Mendilibar, you see him pressing, like he's coming back on defense. But how Like, he was an important part of that Martins team the first year, like playing 4-2-3-1. He signs a new contract. We all know he got injured. Like, how was that for the team? Like, losing him at the end of that first season, and then kind of, Pedro seemed to like favor a different system, 4-3-3. Afterwards, we saw Bouchalakis play with Madi and Guilherme a lot. Like, what was it like for the team losing him, and how do you think it was for him coming back after that? Like, it was difficult to say the least, but just curious, like, your insights as a footballer.
Well, first of all, like, he was really important. I mean, like, the qualities of Fortounis is when Fortounis is on and he's fit, it's you can play a totally different way in terms of the creativity. His, what he can create with the ball. He's a player that has goals, he has assists, he has the key passes. He has so much to his game. So of course, having a fit Fortounis in your team makes you a very strong team, makes you a very good team. So of course, it was really, really important for us. But like you say, injuries are tough. They're not easy to come back from. Especially him, he had a very serious one. So he felt that. It was obvious that obviously coming back from such a big injury took time, and obviously things that was so natural and easy for him suddenly became a little bit more tough because he was injured for such a long time. So he had to work hard. He had to suffer some years in order to actually find himself again. And like you say, now looking at him now, he's flying. He's looking really good, and also he's taking big steps in his other side of the game, like defensively, because obviously he has the capacity, but he just loves to have the ball. He just wants to do everything with the ball. Like, if you give him with the ball, he covers a lot of distance. He runs a lot. If you look at his numbers and everything, he covers a lot. So nobody can really call him lazy, but it can look that way because he doesn't like to do it without the ball. But if you look, when the team has the ball, he's always on the move. He always wants the ball. He always wants to create things. He always wants to go. So yeah. But seeing him this season, seeing that that the coach has gotten him to do that part also makes him even a more all-around player, because then you can depend on him giving you the defensive work also, especially when you're playing against teams in Europe that maybe have the ball more than you. You never know, and yeah, so you will need that. You will need all the players to put a shift in, and big efforts are needed to achieve things.
Absolutely. And a lot of Olympiacos fans thought it was crazy playing Podence and Fortounis in the same team and having really offensive fullbacks. But as you say, like, everyone has to put in a shift, and if everyone's ready to do the work, like on and off the ball, then you work as a team, you win as a team.
Yeah.
So that's super important, and we love to see that from him. He's obviously captaining the team as well now. Kind of coming to the end of the Pedro Martins segment. I mean, he's obviously one of the most successful managers in the club's history. He left with a rather sour taste. I think it's fair to say. My question is, like, he stayed at the club 4 seasons. I think he got sacked after, like, at the beginning of the 4th. Do you think it's almost unnatural, like, for a coach to stay in a team like that with so much pressure? Like, the pressure is probably times 10 if you compare to other leagues, even like the big leagues. Do you think it's just like, on the one hand, the players want something new, something different, or just like the pressure is too much and you have to go your separate ways? How do you explain that?
It's a difficult one. I mean, because like there's many things that plays in. Like, it is very difficult because looking, for example, at Pedro Martins now, because when you've done, I think it was really good and really smart of the club that even though the title wasn't won the first season, that you kept in, because you saw how good the team was going and what direction. So I think that was really important. But then he went on to achieve big things, to do really well with the team. And then as soon as you are not playing in the same way, it's easy to forget, that things can go up and down. So it's always difficult because the pressure is going to be so high. Because as soon as you show the level you can get the team to play at, and then when you're suddenly you start a new season and you're not at the same, then the questions and everything will come from everyone really. So it's a tough one. I mean, I think both the coach and the club was always have to be realistic and honest in terms of what's realistic and to achieve with what kind of group of players you have, because also Olympiacos they create many players that they let move on, they sell and and so of course when you do too many changes, it can obviously affect the team for the next season, because you can bring in players, but you never know if they're actually going to click in, if they're going to do well, if they're going to be successful. So it's a difficult one. But I mean, if you achieve things, if you are successful, you're never going to get sacked. So it's always like as soon as you, if you keep winning, which is of course very difficult, you're always going to be there. But I mean, it's a balance there. I think everyone has to be realistic to the different times and to understand what's possible and not possible at the given time.
You mentioned earlier about the amount of players that come in and out of the club, and this is one of the coming towards the end now. One of the last questions: How difficult is it for a new face, like a young prospect, to break into the team with so many like big squads, loan players, Greek signings, big name signings? Like, how do you mentally prepare for that?
I think it's tough. It's very tough because I mean the like we spoke about, the coaches does not have time to experiment because they know it can cost them a lot in terms of, you can see a young talent coming from the academy, coming from, I don't know, someone you've bought early on, and so it's a mix. I mean, like for the young player, either you have to be so good, like so talented, that you actually go in and affect the team in terms of helping the team to become a better team early on. An example is Retsos, I think under Paulo Bento. That's a good example because he was actually good enough to come in and actually just play and was a big part of the team. And then that's okay, that's fine. Then you can afford to actually, but if you're not, then of course it's very difficult for a foreign coach to come in and then to try to think, giving too many chances to somebody that still needs to develop. But I think having a good mix is important for a team like Olympiacos, because then you let the young ones learn from the older ones, learn from the guys that play in, and maybe get some minutes here and there, and then over the years they will be able to take the next step. And we mentioned Retsos there, and also I remember Tsimikas was a part of the first team. I remember he started to train with us a little bit, coming from the academy, training a little bit more, and then suddenly he was a big part of the first team, and then came through as one of the better players. So yeah, I think it's a balance there. It's tough, it's hard, but yeah, it's possible.
Timing is everything too. Like I feel like you look at, I think Retsos is a huge exception. And I think we had that type of coach that was willing to take those risks and was, had a history of bringing players in through the academy. So it was relatively easy for him, I think. But if you look at Tsimikas was behind Kutris and he didn't get into the team until Kutris got injured. And then Kutris got injured and then Tsimikas never came out the team again. So you've got to, I guess it is a little bit waiting for your time to come, right?
Yes. To get yourself ready, to try to give an best possible image as a young player, that you show that you can, and then when the chance comes, like you say, then you really take it. You have to grab it, and you have to grab it hard, and because a club like Olympiacos need players that can perform and do well very fast. So yeah.
I asked Jose Jalevas this question, like who, out of the players that he was around at the club, who was somebody that he considered to be underrated, like one of the most underrated players that he played with? at the club. You mentioned Tsimikas and Retsos as talents, but was there somebody during your 6 years that you thought was really underrated?
Are you talking about young players or anyone really?
Anyone?
Anyone?
Yeah,
Underrated. Actually, there's one I've mentioned before, but I think over the years has gotten more and more credit because I think fans and people have understood, and that's Masouras. That's still there now.
that's what I.
Yeah, I think he's always he's been really important. He's been really good, and he's such an important player for the team. He puts in so much work, and he has a lot of qualities to his game. But I don't think it's always been appreciated. But I feel it's been changed a little bit, maybe through the last seasons. But I think I felt that he was underrated at one point. Trying to think if there's anyone else that I'm.
Do you want to guess who Choleva said? You'll never get it.
I'll never get it. Then tell me.
Zolakis.
Tsoulakis, yeah, of course, yeah. Well, Tsoulakis has showed this season. Has showed this season what what he's capable of. Of course, he was really young. He was really young when I was there, and he was like obviously a part of the first team and training and. Just been working hard, really. Just understanding that his time will come, and just working really hard. And such a good boy, I remember him as such a polite and very nice kid, and humble, and just working hard. And so I'm really happy to see him this season, to see what he's achieved and what he's done this year. And definitely it's a good one. But I think after this season, not many will call him underrated, because I think people actually look at him and say, "Oh, who's this young, amazing goalkeeper?" So, but yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
It's one of the nice stories of the season, I think. Zolakis this year,
Definitely.
for sure.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I was going to ask you next to tell me, who did you enjoy playing with the most on the wing? Like you saw the starting lineup, and you mentioned Masouras already. Like but he played a lot on the left.
Yes.
I feel with Pedro.
Yes.
Who did you like having in front of you the most? Like the seasons that you were there.
I think it has to be Potence.
Daniel.
Daniel Potence, yeah.
Even though he probably made you work triple, triple hard on defense.
Yes, but that's why I remember I told him, as long as you keep your magic, don't worry, I will run, but pass me the ball when I come. Don't always play dribble. But it was really good to play with Potence. He was, it was. I really enjoyed playing with him. We understood each other really well, and it was a good connection there.
Okay. Now, best starting 11, we were saying.
Best starting 11. All my years on Olympiacos. But best starting 11 on the performance they had with Olympiacos, not in their career, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Goalkeeper,
we will go. It's between two.
Roberto and Sarr.
Exactly, it's between those two. I think I'll go for Sarr.
Jose Sarr. Okay.
Jose Sarr, goalkeeper.
Right back, Omar El Abdelawi. We don't need to talk about right backs. Centre back pairing.
Centre back pairing. Semedo, and I think I will go Shovas Dimitris.
Shovas, nice. You got two very good ball playing centre backs.
Yeah.
Out the back. Left back.
Tsimikas.
Timmy on the left.
And
what have you got in midfield?
Midfield. In midfield, I have Guilherme.
Mm-hmm.
I have Guilherme. I really loved Guilherme as a player. Fantastic player.
Another one that was very hard to replace.
Yeah, Guilherme he was unbelievable, really. Guilherme, Chori Dominguez.
Ooh, as your number 10.
Well, because I know what's coming in front, so I need to sacrifice a little bit. This is more
Okay,
like,
okay, go go
you
go
know,
go 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 go. Tell me. I
I need
won't
to
stop you.
so I'm giving the three midfields. It's not going to be the most hardworking, but I think I'm going to give Guilherme, Chori Dominguez, and Costas Fortounis.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
because this is based on their performances with the club, not necessarily the best lineup or tactically lineup in order to actually go on. But
You're going to make Guillermo do a lot of running.
yes, he likes to run, so it's good. He likes to run. I'll give those three, and then
Two wingers and a striker now, right?
yes, two wingers and a striker.
Yeah.
Striker has to go to El Arabi,
Okay.
Youssef,
Yep.
Youssef El Arabi, and then I'm just trying to think the wingers because it's easy to forget the first years, because you have the last years in memory. So I'm just trying to think back to the first years if there is anyone that actually could compete with the last ones. But I don't recall anyone being better on the right than Podence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall. We had Pardo a little bit with Marco Silva, but no, it was Philip Pardo. But I'm trying to think. No, Podence on the right, left. I've passed so many players. I've played with so many players in Olympiacos, so it's
I
it's
know. I know.
it's very difficult to remember. Like,
You had Seba, like Marco Silva days. Then
I remember Seba. He was, he was a physical, but he was really good. I really liked him, hardworking guy. But he will not come in front of, for example, Valbuena. I'm trying to think.
Because Valbuena was brought in to play as a winger. I think.
Yeah, he was playing as a left winger. He was, and he was really important in those years. Him and Tsimikas on the left was. So I'm trying to think: is there anyone that can kick him out of that? The thing is, not many players actually had many seasons because many players like did one good season, and then somebody else came in and took over the position. But actually, Valbuena stayed on to actually do well for longer periods. So I think I will give it to Valbuena, unless you recall anyone else to know. I think Valbuena takes the left one.
Trying to think. No, I think that's a good shout, and that's a really, really attacking team that you put out
Really
there.
attacking team. But I mean, like performance-wise, in terms of, Chori was really good during my years there. He was, such a magical player. Fortounis has been there he's a legend of the club and he's doing so well. And Guilherme has that. I don't recall anyone being better than Guilherme in that position.
You played with David Fuster for quite a few years, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, Fuster was also there, of course. Fuster was also, but then it would be Fuster was really good, an amazing guy. Oh, amazing guy! You see, that's a name I forgot, but then he would have to kick out one of Fortounis or Chori. He also played a little bit on the wing, but no, I think I will stay with what I chose for now. But there's so many good players.
It is a difficult exercise, and I appreciate that you tried to do it. You can tell that you've been at Olympiacos for 6 years, like super attacking lineup, like with goal scorers, talisman, technical players. It's great.
If that would be the best to go for every game, I don't know. But I mean, like in terms of performances, these players showed while I was there. I think they deserve a spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Mate, I know you've been with us like almost an hour. I really appreciate your time. We're coming to an end. There are just a few more questions that have been sent in by fans that I want to put to you, and a last quick fire round right at the end. So a few more questions from the fans. These are from our patrons. If you haven't subscribed to our Patreon, you can check that out at www.patreon.com/Gate7International. The first question is coming from Ed. Ed is from New Jersey, United States. He's asking, who was your favorite teammate at Olympiacos? You may have you've mentioned a few, but is there somebody you'd single out as a like your favorite teammate at the club?
You mean as a friend outside the pitch also, or like?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, uh, I had many very close ones, to be honest. Like I've created so many close friendships, but we had a really close group, a clique with Youssef El Arabi, Hassan Kuka, and Sudani. We became a really, yeah, we became really close. You know, like really close friends. So if I'm allowed to say that group, I will say those.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
Super. I forgot about Hilal Sudani. He
he's
came
doing
that.
well for Maribor now. He's doing really well in Slovenia.
That's good to hear. He's
Yeah,
I
very
thought he
well.
was an exciting player when he was at Zagreb. I remember he was top, like
Yes, yes.
really good. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
The next question is from Stefanos. He's in Greece. He asks, if you could pick one match to relive with the team, which one would it be? One game, if you could play it again.
With the same outcome.
Yeah, same outcome.
Well, I think it was 2-1 Arsenal.
And what about different outcome?
Different outcome.
Wolves, no?
Wolves. Wolves. Wolves, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolves. Definitely.
Hopefully this season makes up for that. That's what I'm
Yes,
going
I
to
hope
say.
so. I really hope so. Because that year was could have been something special, really. Yeah.
I speaking for all of the co-hosts of this show,
Mm.
we all believe that team could have done it.
Yeah.
Could have
Yeah.
done it. Yeah, yeah.
I really felt that too. I really did, yeah. Mm.
Next question is from Bob Beans. He says, during your time in Greece and Turkey, you were lucky enough to play in two of the world's most famed and fierce derbies. How did you find the experiences and what were the similarities and the differences?
Um, no, it was a lot of things were similar. I mean, like the intense, like how much it meant for both clubs. I mean, like you could feel the build up going into the games. Like I mean, Olympiacos before Panathinaikos game that week and so on. Like the feeling and the how much it means to everyone around the club and the fans and everyone and same with Galatasaray really. How much it means for the fans, for the club, leading, going to play against Fenerbahce. So it's and obviously it has a different volume, even though most games are really strong, but like you feel them, how intense it is in the stadium when it is those games. You can feel that it is a different, like even just going out in the warm up, it's just like a different kind of volume from the fans, a different kind of push and intensity. So yeah, I would say that.
Okay. From Kostas, Kostas asks, you won 4 league titles in Greece. Which one stands out the most?
Which one stands out the most? I mean, they all mean so much in different ways, really. The first one, because it was the first time I actually won a title, and it was like such a big moment. Then again, the year with Marco Silva was like so dominant. I mean, we won the league so so early. I mean, we lost one game or drew only one game or
One.
something.
Yeah. You
One game,
lost one game. Yeah, yeah.
lost one game, and like yeah, it was which was special. But I would say the first one because it was my first title.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And that brings us to the quick fire round. So I'm just gonna ask you some regular questions, like to get to know you a little bit better, like some simple things.
Okay.
We do this with all of our guests. So the first question is, what's your favorite food and your favorite drink?
I really like because I've been away so much, so every time I come back to have Moroccan food, which I miss a lot, especially when my mom makes it. I think that would be my favorite dish. Or yeah, there's different ones, but yeah, Moroccan food is my favorite food. Yeah,
Okay. Favorite
yeah.
drink?
I don't really have any favorite because I don't really like too much fizzy drinks, to be honest. But let's say apple juice.
Apple juice? Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Favorite movie or television series?
Um, I've seen a lot of series. There's been a
What
lot
are you
of.
watching What are you watching now?
I just finished that. Baby Reindeer.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Well, it's based on this true story. So yeah, I just finished that, which was because the guy that plays the main character is the guy the story happened about. So he's playing himself.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have a favorite actor, favorite actress?
Denzel Washington.
Everyone loves Denzel.
Ah,
Everyone.
I really love him. His movies, his the way he's acting. Yeah, I really like Denzel. Yeah,
Okay. Favorite holiday destination?
Greece.
Greece.
Yeah.
Nice.
It is. It is. I mean, like my family loves it, and we love it, and there's so many places to go. So yeah, Greece.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I've been going every summer of my life. I've obviously grown up in the UK.
Yeah.
Greece is all about summer. If somebody asks me where are you going this summer, I was like, what do you mean? I'm going to Greece. There's
Exactly.
absolutely
You have so
no
much
question.
to go, and yeah, especially now, even for because we went on holidays to Greece before I signed for Olympiacos, so I've been to Greece a few times before. So and now it's definitely a place that I'll be going to a lot.
Excellent.
Uh,
Describe Olympiacos fans in 3 words.
Passionate, intense, demanding.
Demanding. Okay.
Demanding. Yeah.
Fair. Fair. If you weren't a footballer, what would you be?
Always when I was younger, I used to say I was going to be a police officer for some reason. I
Okay.
always, yeah. So I think maybe I would have gone that way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Last question. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi,
Messi. All
Messi,
right.
Messi.
Okay. You didn't even think about it. It was just like straight away. Boom.
Yeah, I've been Barcelona and I've been Messi all the way really. So of course I admire Ronaldo and he's yeah unbelievable, and of course everything that comes with that. But yeah, it's Messi for me.
All right.
Hmm.
Omar Al Abdellawi, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to an end. Before we go, I suppose in wrapping up, I mentioned at the beginning of this interview that the last time Olympiacos went 2 seasons without winning a league title, something special happened right after that. We're about to witness something in just over a week's time that Olympiacos fans have been dreaming about all of our lives. Some might argue since before we were born. We have the opportunity to play a European Cup final in Athens on the 29th of May. And we've learned during the interview that Omar is also planning to be out there in Athens to watch the game. Omar, do you have any words for Olympiacos fans before we wrap up? A message to Olympiacos fans in general, and also something to say ahead of next week's final.
No, I mean like me as an ex-player, appreciate all the love and support you've given me and all the love and support you give to the team. Understand how important it is. You have to, yeah. I mean, like the the power and the drive you can give the team is extreme, especially when we're all together going in the same direction. And I think going into this special game that it can be for all of us just over a week. I think it will be more important than ever to be there, to cherish the team, and yeah and to pray for everything to go our way, because you never know, final is a final. But yeah, to be there for the team, and I hope for all of you to experience something very special that's going to stay with you and with the club for forever, really. So yeah, Πάμε Olympiacos.
Πάμε Olympiakara. Super.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Omar, for taking the time to speak with us today. This is going to be a real treat for Olympiacos fans to hear your views, your insights, the way you speak about the club. It's been a real pleasure for me to speak to you. Normally we have a couple of us, but today it's just been Costa and Omar today.
Thank you for having me.
Shukran. Thank you so much. We're Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans. See you next time.